Kia ora. Hello. This week we are returning to our series on the Hanseatic League. Not sure what the Hanseatic League is? Well, make sure to watch our first video on this series where we discuss briefly what the Hanseatic League was and its economic aspects. There are many different material and economic developments which can be attributed to the Hanseatic League's success, such as the monopoly on the stockfish trade in the Baltic or their refinement of the cog. However, there are other developments which I feel are just as important to look at when considering the development of the Hanseatic League. This week we'll be examining some of the social and political frameworks of the League and how these frameworks were pivotal in building and maintaining a trade empire which lasted over 600 years. It is through this examination which we will be able to get a better understanding of the complexities of Northern European trade and trade in general. We will look at the importance of skilled labour, education, language, marriage and migration. We will discuss how these were pivotal in the arsenal of a successful medieval merchant. Now, as a side note, this week we are going to be trying something different with the format of this episode. Please let us know if you like it or not. Your feedback is much appreciated. And as always, if you want to know more about this week's topic, we link to all of our research down below. I'm Andrew, and this is Popula Urbanum, a show where we talk about reenactment and the medieval middle class. Let us first talk about the average career of the Hanseatic merchant. Their training started at the age of 6, when they would start schooling. Their apprenticeship would start at the age of 12. This would last 6 years. Parts of the apprenticeship would be conducted abroad to learn languages in a host country. Commonly, they would learn languages of their trading partners such as Russian, Polish, Estonian, Latvian, English, and Icelandic. After the apprenticeship was completed, next was the journeyman. The journeyman's role would be to travel on behalf of the master and conduct business transactions. Once finalizing the stage of journeyman, a Hanseatic merchant would become a partner in a trading company. This would not be the end of their career, however, just the beginning. Part 1. As language was one of the important developments that allowed the Hanseatic League to function. By the 13th century, Low German replaced Latin in most written documents, and from the early 14th century, Low German was the language used in legal documents and commercial transactions. The learning of languages and education was also important. By 1269, German merchants demanded that their students be allowed to travel to Novgorod to learn. The Hanseatic merchants also set up their own business and language schools to teach the necessary skills required to become a merchant. As I discussed in our episode on medieval schools, linked down below, schooling in the medieval period was more complex. That has often been relayed. With the proliferation of the municipal schools in the 12th centuries, the League saw fit to educate its members. They saw a need, for example, to have a specialized curriculum dealing with weights and measures. Commercial business dealings were important, so too the knowledge in how to converse in German, Dutch, Russian, and English. This was important to the merchant instead of needing to rely on interpreters to conduct business. In 1281, a commercial school was founded in St. Nikolai Kirchspiel in Hamburg, and in 1278 in Stralsund, and in 1279 in Wismar. These schools were mainly established in cities near the North Sea and Baltic Sea. The municipal schools were now considered as educational paths for business people, as they taught more commercial and occupational content. The municipal schools were no longer taught in Latin. Girls were also taught in these schools, mostly by the wife of the master of writing and arithmetic. Many merchant apprentices first attended a Latin school and then the municipal school. From the municipal schools in Lübeck, for example, wax tablets from around 1370 are preserved, with writing exercises by students on commercial business letters and sales letters. In these exercises, we can read that 31 tons of wine were sent to a merchant at a price of 31 marks, or that it was requested that a good guest be named to whom the merchant could entrust his goods. The wax tablets also contain copies of political council correspondence.
Part 2.
Yet, it is not just education that shaped how the Hanseatic League functioned. I've previously spoken about the Hanseatic League as a collection of cities being bound together with a common goal of mutual aid, free trade, and self-defense. Those merchants who were members being provided with special tariff-free trade, allowing the free movement of goods from the Baltic to Western Europe and back again. What was important to underpin the League was many different social organizations and developments. Unlike in the modern world where there are direct, regulated and organized lines of trade and business, the medieval business world relied on a complex relationship of Fama, oaths, and contracts. To mitigate much of the risk to oneself and your business, many Hanseatic merchants relied on familial networks as much as trade was operated by small-scale self-employed merchants or small family businesses. Many of the Hanseatic merchants had a personal trade network involving up to 40 individuals or more. Of these networks, the core partnership were made up of family members and relatives. A smaller portion of these partnerships were friends. Lastly, the smallest in number were business transactions made with occasional partners. Hanseatic merchants sought to bring friends into their networks, into their family circle, and partners into the friend circle as often as possible by using marriage as a tool to bring people closer into the network. Part of the process of building alliances would involve marriage of family members to trade partners to cement trade alliances. This would involve sending daughters, sons, or other close relatives off to far-off cities to marry, much like the nobility did. Since marriage was used to ensure that partnerships and alliances were strengthened, the League also passed regulation to ensure that marriage was not abused. Part of the 1264 decrees of the Hanseatic League states, if a man marries a woman in one city and another from some other city comes and proves that he is her lawful husband, he shall be beheaded. Again, it goes on, if a citizen gives his daughter or niece in marriage to a man from another city, and another man comes and says that she is his lawful wife, but cannot prove it, he shall be beheaded. This serves to protect marriage from being misused. Clearly, the Hanseatic merchants saw marriage as a vital tool in their merchant process.
Part 3.
The Hanseatic League was, as we have previously discussed, a very mobile place, with merchants and apprentices moving backwards and forth, not only within the League, but to far-off places to conduct trade and to learn. One of the more common misconceptions of the medieval period is that the population of medieval Europe was static, with little to no travel or migration. This is rather further from the truth. With the increase of arable lands during the High Middle Ages coupled with the foundation of many new cities during the 12th century, there is an increase in migration of people throughout Europe. After the political integration and conversion of Christianity of the Baltic regions in the 12th century, this once sparsely populated area saw numerous villages and towns being founded along the coast between Lübeck and Tallinn until the 13th century, for example. For people in the more densely populated Western Europe, this offered better economic opportunities and a chance at a new life, as these towns were founded on municipal law with a protected permanent market. The first people to arrive from the west were Rhinelandian, Westphalian, and Saxon in origin, joining the native Slavic peoples. This migration also worked in reverse, with people within the League returning west to the western towns within the League, often having married into local families so as to build political and trade alliances. This westward movement was often to start partnerships with relatives, or further afield yet to live and work in the contour or as traders. While there was movement and migration within the League and within Europe in general, the Hanseatic League is, if anything, a complex web of interconnected relationships. While more can be said of how people related to each other, or how the improvement of education impacted the quality of the way both the members were able to do business and perform administrative tasks within the cities. But I won't. I think it's important to discuss, however, the League and the way it was shaped, not just in economic terms, but by the movement and relationship of the people within it. The movement of people either as students, journeyman traders, or as migrants through the League can attest to how much travel was important to maintaining the social relationships that allowed the merchant enterprises of the League to function. This movement allowed merchants to build complex and robust social networks through Europe, often from an early age, which they then could leverage in later life to build a personal business, utilizing their contact with distant relatives and friends to set up trade deals. Though the members of the Hanseatic League were well travelled, we do see a sense of self-identity for its members. They definitely identified themselves as both members of the Hanseatic League and as citizens of the Holy Roman Empire. Next in the series, we'll be looking at the military aspects of the Hanseatic League and how they utilize this to set up a trade empire. Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. This must mean you enjoyed the video. So, like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, stay safe, have fun, and keep reenacting.